To provide context, and Ron DeSantis basically saying we don't need tests anymore, or basically saying tests are not as effective as they could be. We're gonna look at this clip that he had to explain himself a couple days ago, allowing about 1 million COVID at-home tests to expire per se.
They're not accurate, then we don't want to send out inaccurate tests, but they already were extended in September. There wasn't a lot of demand for them. They've been sending them out as requested. There was no withholding anything.
Now, again, this is when the spike of Omicron happened. So to say there's no demand for at-home COVID tests, that's a bit, it's a bit misleading. I would say that, to say the least. But here is the video he dropped today, basically explaining his thought process on COVID-19 tests. And I just want to get like the first clip out the way, because that's mainly where I'm going to be targeting this whole video. That's the whole thing that got me inspired to make this video in the first place. It's because it's the first like 15-20 second clip here.
Now think about it. Before COVID, did anyone go out and seek testing to determine if they were sick? It's usually you feel like you're sick, and then you get tested to determine what you maybe have come down with. And so this is kind of a new thing where they've been saying just go out and test all the time. And again, you're free to do it. But I think what the DOH guidance from Florida is saying is that is unlikely to yield very much clinical value.
So he went from essentially low demand, no demand, to why even do the test is going to be basically wasting your time, and we only need to take the test if you're already sick. But the thing is, if you're already sick, if you're already showing symptoms, the chance of you having COVID in the first place is astronomically higher than just trying to find out if you have it when you don't have the symptoms, asymptomatic in the first place. Like this is utterly insane. Like I see here also, we have here this quote here: experts have said the best time to take rapid tests is right before you see vulnerable people or a large group, but in situations where tests are very limited, some of these experts recommend people wait until they develop symptoms before COVID-19. So yeah, pretty much the ideal situation every single time is to get COVID tests when you are putting yourself at risk and they can spread anything that you don't know about, and to be extra safe about it, right? So I feel like to him being this basically pro-COVID is playing up to the fact that he still wants to garner his anti-vax fan base. He has a 54% approval rating at the moment, and at this point he's trying to make sure that they are aware that they have a choice in a matter of every single instance. Because if I remember correctly, earlier this week, DeSantis has said he wants to keep schools open in the massive surge of COVID, which, sure, you can make an argument that whether or not kids could stay in school economically, that's a good thing, right? However, DeSantis' stance on vaccine mandates and mask mandates kind of interact, because his stance on vaccine mandates and mask mandates for schools are him blocking bills to mandate COVID-19 vaccines and school masks. So with this bill still being enacted and him pushing students to go back to school in mass, we're going to have another massive spike on top of that. And then on top of all of that, him saying even getting tested might not be the most ideal situation because you want to only test when you're absolutely sick. And it's just seeing all this unfold, seeing this in my state, it's waiting for explosion to happen. Like, for example, I remember this one case, right, where university opened up, massive spike with the same exact principle going on, saying that, oh, don't worry about all that, just get back to school, guys, get back to school, don't worry about any of that. And then boom, massive spike of COVID, that shut back down. So the same precedent's gonna happen now, and it's gonna just be a horrific incident. We're just waiting for this to happen, essentially. Seeing how he's running for re-election as well doesn't really bode well for the Florida people in general.
And it also creates a lot of second order follow-up problems. It's essentially a lockdown by stealth, in the sense of if you test positive but you're not sick or have symptoms, you may have to isolate. They don't even know, the test can't tell you if you're even infectious or not.
So even in that clip, he's also doubting the validity of the test themselves as well, on top of the fact that you might not even need the test in general. So it's just overall a horrific statement. It's just very depressing to think about it in any sense of the word. And the fact that his approval rating is so high will mean he's probably going to be here for the long term, and we just gotta buckle down and get used to it, baby, because this is looking pretty apocalyptic. See ya.